Welcome to Invest Insights. I'm Abby Maloney. I'm joined today by William Behre, the president of Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. William, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Abby.
William, you've been awarded a variety of honors throughout your educational career, from your beginnings in special education to your position now as president. What lessons throughout your educational career have remained relevant through to today?
I think the most important lesson is to remember why you exist or your institution exists. I've spent a long time in education, part of it in K to 12, much of it in higher education. And I think the most important thing we can do is to remember that we're here to serve our students and our communities. And so as long as we keep that in focus, the rest of it works itself out.
Sustainability has been a top of mind topic for the business community as a whole. At SRU, your goal is to reduce greenhouse emissions to zero by 2037. What creative and innovative initiatives is SRU pursuing in its effort to plan a more sustainable future and achieve net zero emissions?
Well, when I arrived here about 4 years ago, we were in the midst of a large project to make our residential suites much more efficient. And that project has been completed, and now we're looking at results. In truth, the pandemic has kind of confused the results a bit because our residence halls weren't as full. So we haven't been able to really gauge the full result of that, but we really are optimistic that that will reduce our emissions substantially and our energy use in general substantially. The beauty of reducing emissions through energy use is you also reduce your costs. So it's a win-win. We're currently looking at a larger project. We're part of a grant to look at how we can reduce the use of a central heating plant. We have a central heating plant that has both natural gas and coal burners, and we'd like to move away from that so we can get onto more clean electricity. So we're in the middle of a grant right now to look at the feasibility of removing that central plant use and going to individual building electric units. And then after that, we have to do smaller, but I think equally as important things, look at our vehicle fleet, and then also work with our vendors, because a part of our carbon footprint is the people we bring on campus and the vendors we use. And those will be the next steps after that.
Look at the national default rate on student loans. It's about 11%. At SRU, it's between 4 and 5%. What are some creative ways SRU is helping students realize and attain career opportunities that can cover the debt costs of education?
I think when you talk about student loans, you really have to understand what goes into default. Many students who default from student loans default because they didn't actually finish their degree and they don't have a strong enough income to support their debt load. At Slippery Rock, we have a very strong graduation rate. So just almost by definition, our students come out more prepared to pay off their student loans. But one of the things we do to help students continue and persist and to get that degree is a program we're piloting called Life Design. It was actually started at Stanford University years ago, and we're trying to adopt it more broadly here, but it's still in a pilot phase. And the idea behind Life Design is you work with students who might not be so sure. Perhaps they don't know what their major should be, or they're just confused about sort of why are they here. And you help them figure out not just what career they want, but who they want to be as an adult. And you give them that goal and you give them the target. That helps them persist through college. Then they get their degree. And generally speaking, once you have a college degree, you can support a modest amount of student loan. The other piece of it, of course, is to keep the cost up front as low as you possibly can. And we have generous financial aid packages, and we have just a relatively low sticker price to begin with. So if you look at low cost, good financial aid, and strong earnings coming out, and then that little bit of motivation they might need to finish the degree, it's been a winning formula for us.
As we round out our discussion today, how would you define creativity, and what does that look like for Slippery Rock and higher education overall?
You know, right now, even though we're emerging from the pandemic has really been on my mind. And I think about creativity, given our recent context, is taking advantage of the opportunities provided by change. The pandemic has really caused an awful lot of change. And we're now evaluating what did we learn from that? What skills did our professors get about using different media? And I think you're going to see a modest change in the college environment coming out of the pandemic. And part of that is realizing that it was an awful situation, but realizing there was also a lot of change and innovation that had to take place, and recognizing that and figuring out what to keep and what to toss. And for us, that's the crux of creativity here today. In a couple of years, it'll change because the context will change, because I think the creativity is often contextually bound.
Thank you very much, William.
Thanks so much for having me.
It was William Behre, the president of Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to hear more CEOs and thought leaders share their opinions and advice on today's business climate. Until next time, I'm Abby Maloney, and this has been Invest Insights. Thanks for tuning in.